Hi guys, welcome to My Crazy World PH. I'm Tony, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about money. Now, I know you're all thinking it's a bad subject to talk about, but this is one thing that needs to be told about and informed, especially if you've never been to the Philippines. So, if you're planning a trip to the Philippines, you're going to be tempted to either rely on your debit card or your credit card, firstly, and you're also going to be tempted to use the bank's exchange rates and exchange services. Or supermarkets, you'll also know those little kiosks in the supermarkets, foreign currency exchange. And some of these supermarkets are going to offer you really good rates if you have a loyalty card. So, here's the downside. You're going to be paying commissions. Okay, so if you take it from your bank, you're going to be paying a commission. Depending on how much cash you get, it can be quite substantial. The same with the supermarkets, or you can actually go to the airport with your British pound sterling and exchange it at the airport, but you'd be insane to do so as the exchange rates there are not great and the commission is horrendous. So that's one to stay away from. Exchange rates at the airport in the UK is a bad idea. Now what I do, I firstly take about £200 sterling with me. No exchange rate at all. Don't get any pesos. As soon as I get to Manila, and it's the same at all the major airports in the Philippines, they have rows of exchange booths at the airport in Manila. Now you're going to get a good exchange rate equivalent to what you're going to get from your bank or the supermarkets here in the UK. What you will get is cheaper commission. So it's worthwhile not paying the commission or as much commission and getting an exchange rate from the booths. It's going to be cheaper than getting it in the UK anyway. The next step, of course, is, well, when you're there, you're going to need more than 50 or 60 pounds, so you're going to go for an ATM machine. Now, yes, your ATM machine is going to work with your credit card or your debit cards. Basically, your bank cards are going to work at the ATMs. Here in Manila, you're going to get that. The downside is that most of the ATMs will only let you have 10,000 pesos per transaction, and per transaction they're going to charge you 500 pesos. It's a lot of money to be paying out, especially when you consider that you will also be paying at least one exchange rate. And the reason I say at least one exchange rate is because usually on these machines you get two options and occasionally three options. The first option is, do you want to be paid in your home currency? Well, if you get paid in your home currency, you are going to be paying two exchange rates. You're going to be paying the UK to dollar, dollar to peso. That's the way exchange rates work. If you choose the other option, which is the very common one, do you want to be paid in US dollars? So basically, you're going to be paying UK to dollar, dollar to peso. However, if you go with local, you're going to be going from pound sterling to peso, no middleman, which is the way we want it to be. So basically, you're paying one exchange rate, and it's usually the Philippine bank's exchange rate that you're going to be paying. Yes, when you get home, you might have a small charge from your bank for each transaction, but it's peanuts in comparison. The other thing I would say is that the ATMs in the Philippines, like I said, usually they'll allow you 10,000 out. However, there is one bank only, and it's the China Bank. Now they'll allow you to take 20,000 pesos out per transaction, and the fee is usually between 300 and 400 pesos. So it's cheaper to do it that way. You also get a very good exchange rate with the China Bank, which is brilliant. A thing to remember is, I should have mentioned before actually, that if you're thinking of bringing in your holiday money from the UK, you are legally only allowed to bring in 50,000 pesos. That is about, I don't know, £650. Now, it sounds a lot, but if you're going to be staying in the Philippines for a month or 2 weeks, it's not going to be enough, so you're going to need another way of getting cash in. And that people tend to use the ATMs. There is a cheaper method. Now this is called remittance services, and you can basically download the app from Wise or Revolut. You exchange the currency from UK to Philippines straight into an account. So your account would be in Philippine peso, for instance. You can then go to a remittance service in the Philippines and take that money out as and when required, and you will be, yes, you get charged a small fee. You'll get charged the exchange rate at the time of the exchange from the pounds to the Philippines, so always keep that in mind, and check daily, sometimes before you travel, on the exchange rates before you put money into your Philippine peso account. You can then, like I said, use a remittance service, and the remittance services are all over the cities in the Philippines, so they're very easy to find. You fully pay a few pesos, maybe 100 pesos, to get out 30,000 or 40,000 pesos, which is a hell of a lot cheaper than getting it in the UK, and it's a lot cheaper than paying every time you make a withdrawal from the ATM. That's the cheapest way of doing it. I tend to use remittance services and ATMs because sometimes you are caught a little short and you need an ATM, but I always use the China Bank ATM because I can draw more out, and they're more readily available, to be honest. ATMs are everywhere in the Philippines. The reason you may think, well, why can't I just use my debit card and credit card? Well, it's okay in the shopping mall because most of the stores will take the debit card or credit cards. However, I would say 99% of everything in the Philippines is cash-based. So all your transport, cash-based. If you go into the bar, unlike in the UK where we can just put a card over the counter, that's not going to happen in the Philippines. It's cash. The same in the clubs, the restaurants, everywhere. It's cash. So you go to a restaurant in the UK, we just get the debit card out and pay on the machine. No, that's not going to happen in the Philippines. It's cash. The other thing, I'll give you an example of how rare it is to use a debit card or a credit card. So my neighbour, when I go over to home to the Philippines, bought a motorcycle about 2 months ago. Nice German guy, Anders, and he bought a motorcycle, and it was going to cost him, if he paid by debit card, it was going to cost him more than if he paid cash for it. That's unheard of in the UK. It was unheard of in Germany, certainly in the EU, that something's going to cost you more if you use the debit card rather than cash, but that's just the way it is in the Philippines. So his motorcycle, he paid cash for. He used the remittance service to take his money out of his German account and bring it over to the Philippines to buy the motorcycle, but he was telling me that it was going to cost him more to use the debit card. That's just the way it is. Anyway, guys, if this video has been informative, you learned a little bit, or maybe, I don't know, you just enjoy a coffee with Tony, please subscribe, like, and I'll catch you next time. Until then, See you later.